Hey there, English class, grade 11, university. We're back after what was hopefully an okay weekend. Here we are in the last week of our online classes, right? So, today your reflection assignments are due, and many of you have handed them in, and thank you for that. I will be getting back to each of you with your grades during the week, right? I intend to just look at them and then reply to the email, so you'll be getting your responses soon. If you have not gotten me your answers yet, right, I hope that you can do so over the course of the next few days, right? We're just trying to put things together here, right? So, well, not next few days. Try to get those to me as soon as possible, right? I understand if some things have happened, right, but, give them to me. So please finish your reflections as soon as possible. And we're now moving on to the final thing. So, like I said last week, we're not going to be doing a seminar, right? Because the principal felt that would be too much to do for the final when we're in this situation, which is fair enough. All right, so we're just going to stick with the essay. And the essay is going to be emailed to me, just like you emailed your reflections. And it is going to be about 750 to 1,000 words, 3 or 4 pages, about the same length as your first essay that you've already done. Alright, so let's talk about what this thing is going to consist of. So, like I said, 750 to 1,000 words. It needs to have a proper thesis, it needs to have clear evidence. You do not need to do any research for this one. What I mean by that is secondary sources are not necessary. All you're really going to need is Beth and, well, I don't have a copy of the autobiography of X-Colored Man on me, but X-Colored Man if you need it, right? So that part is up to you, alright? So that's, if you do use a secondary source, you should cite it, but I don't think you'll need to, and I don't think it's even recommended. So, you've got 4 questions to choose from. You've got, first, on the list, compare and contrast Macbeth and the X-Colored Man. How are the two characters similar and how are they different? So, for this first question, the best way to do it is to sort of think of one thing that the characters have in common, and then one thing that is different about each of them, right? And then you can lay out this essay as a 5-paragraph essay pretty simply, right? So your first paragraph can be about, by paragraph, by the way, I mean body paragraph, not the intro and thesis. But your first paragraph can be about what they have in common. The next paragraph can be about whatever the first character does that's unique to them, and the next paragraph can be about whatever the second character does that's unique to them. So your thesis can look roughly like this, right? While both the X-Colored Man and Macbeth are blank, right, and inside of that blank you would put something they have in common, right? And that might be hard to think of, by the way. Maybe it's, I don't know, stubbornness, right? Something like that. Right, or fear, right, something, whatever you think it is, whatever you think these two characters have in common, right, so over here you would put something in common, right, think of it like that, we'll do it like that. The X-Colored Man is, and then you're going to put something unique, or something different, right, and while Macbeth is something different. Right, so this is a nice simple way to do compare and contrasts, right? If you ever have to do that in 4U or in the university, you can use this and it's pretty much foolproof, right? Because it gives you a logical way to lay things out. In the first paragraph, you talk about what they have in common. Paragraph after that, what they have that's different. And the paragraph after that, what they have that's also different, right? So one on X-Colored Man only and one on Macbeth only. So that's how you can lay out this particular essay, which actually, in my opinion, I know some people think that's the hard question, but in my opinion, this is the easy question, right? It's so simple, right? One thing to keep in mind when you're comparing and contrasting, try to avoid, obvious things, right? So if you want to say, oh, what do they have in common? They're both male, right? Or they're both, I don't know, humans or something like that. You want to get something good, like both being stubborn or maybe being cowardly or whatever it is you think that these two characters have in common. But that's what you're doing for the first question. After that, you've got the second question here. So the second question here is meant to... Oh, I should read it. Considering the entire play, was the character of Macbeth a truly evil human being? Why or why not? So this question is meant to let you write about Macbeth. Some of you have answered the similar question already as part of the reflection assignment where you talked to me about Lady Macbeth, right? So whether or not Macbeth is an evil man is a pretty straightforward question, I think. You answer it based on the text. Don't think about just Macbeth at the end or Macbeth at the beginning, right? Think about the whole play, but tell me, is this an evil man or was he something else, right? So you could say, no, he was not an evil man, he was just misguided. Or your thesis could be something like, yes, Macbeth was absolutely evil, right? And you can write from there, right? So fairly straightforward question there. And I also put in this question for those of you who hate Macbeth and don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. Was the X-Colored Man's failure to achieve his dreams inevitable due to all of the racism he faced in his society? Or could he have done more to achieve what he wished to achieve? So for those of you who hate Macbeth and like the X-Colored Man, you can ignore Macbeth for that one, and you're just going to tell me about the end of the story, pretty much, right? Was it inevitable for him to fail the way he did because of all the systemic racism he was facing, or could he have done more and achieved whatever it is he wanted to achieve? So that's the third question there. Then the fourth question: explain the role that guilt plays in either Macbeth and or the autobiography of an X-Colored Man. How does the feeling of guilt affect the protagonist and the way they make decisions? So my key here is and or. If you want to talk about both, you can. Or if you want to just talk about Macbeth, or you want to just talk about the autobiography of an X-Colored Man, then that's fine too, right? So you can choose which one you want to talk about. But this is looking at the idea of guilt, right? So for Macbeth, you'll want to maybe think about that, remember that Eternal Jewel speech? How he thinks his soul belongs to the devil after he kills Duncan, and so therefore he's going to do whatever he wants, right? And for the X-Colored Man, you're going to think about, alright, this guy clearly feels guilty for having given up his dream and not done what he was supposed to do, so what should he do about that? Right, so you're looking at guilt as a theme, and you can talk about both books, or you can talk about one. Now, this is the replacement for your final exam, right? What would happen if there were not a global pandemic right now is you would have had to come in on the exam day, and you would have had to write an essay like this. The way it's going to go for us, though, is you have until Tuesday, April 28th, 2020 at midnight to hand this thing in. Right? So you have basically a week and a day to put this thing together. And, I'm not expecting it to be, 20 pages to 30 pages, right? I just want, about 750 to 1,000 words. If you're a little over, that's fine. If you're a little under, that's fine too. But, guys, the marks for the class are due on April 30th, right? So I need you guys to get these in so I can mark them. Right? In fact, if you want to hand them in earlier, that would be kind of good. I would actually like that quite a bit. So, that is what the final is going to look like, right? So if you have any questions about how this can be done, you can send them to me now. I'm going to post some reminders about how to put together an essay throughout the week, right? So that we continue to, just remind ourselves about that kind of thing. And, that should hopefully be helpful. But that's the long and short of what the final essay is supposed to look like, right? So if you have any questions, you know who to contact. Now, one more thing. So the one other thing is the optional seminar. right? I want to sort of try it out, just honestly, so I can see how Google Meetups works and how we can put this together. So it'll happen on Friday, April 24th. Let's set the time for 10:30. I'll see if that works for you guys during the week, right? We can move it. Maybe we can even do 2. But we'll try to meet up with Google Meetups, and I'll send you the whole class a link. And if you participate, we'll be discussing those essay questions, right, as our seminar questions, right? So I'll ask everyone what they think of each of those seminar questions, which will hopefully, or each of those essay questions, which will hopefully help you write the essays. And there may even be a special guest appearance by a cat. Now, so, for now though, thank you to everyone who's handed in a reflection. Get to going on those essays. You guys have a week, right? And, you know, if that doesn't sound too long, just remember, if we'd done it in class, you would have had 2 hours to write those essays, right? So instead of having 2 hours, you have a week, right? So make sure you do that, and I'll be marking your papers throughout the week, and I'll send you replies with your grades and everything. I'm also going to be awarding those participation marks, which you guys did very well on. So that's the plan for now, and I will see you guys tomorrow with some more comments on how to write an essay. Alright guys, take care.